without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Superintendent Kyla Johnson-Trammell.
Thank you, Teresa, and good morning, everyone, all you passionate advocates for reading. Thank you so much for joining this morning. I really needed this morning, just kind of a reminder of why I am doing this crazy job at this crazy time. And so I personally really appreciated the video because it just connected right to my core in terms of why I'm hanging in there and sticking in there, because it really is about students. And whenever I talk about reading, the first person that always comes to my mind is Frederick Douglass. And, at one point in his illustrious career, being the grandfather of civil rights, he said, once you learn to read, you will forever be free. And so for me, that's the big why around doing this right. It is the civil rights issue of our time. And we are all seeing the disruption with technology, disruption, innovation, whichever way you want to look at it. And our kids are not going to be able to enter the workforce without a strong, and we're saying reading, but really we're talking about literacy. In my mind, it's the reading, it's authentic listening, it's effective communication, and it's being able to write proficiently. All of those skills used to be kind of exclusively taught to a few, and we need to figure out how to redesign our system so that every single kid gets quality education, but more important, quality learning. So there are many things in my mind that I just would like us all to keep in our heads as we go through the day. And one is just really being able to understand in all of our circles, just the importance of holding at our core that there is a science behind reading. It's been that way for decades. Unfortunately, in education, we get into these wars, these literacy wars, these math wars, and we can never segregate both teaching kids how to think, but also teaching the mechanics and the patterns of learning to read. For any of us who are parents here, I'm the parent of two. My son picked up that code very quickly. My daughter, she relied on having educators, myself included, to really break down the patterns, whether we're talking about phonemic awareness, phonics, syllabication, all of the wonderful pieces of vocabulary development. Kids pick up how to read differently. And so it is incumbent upon us to ensure from policy at the state level, to the board level, to the curriculum that is approved, that we have the science of reading as just a regular part of what every single student has access to, one, and two, that our teachers are trained. I'm also a huge believer that teaching reading is rocket science because kids learn differently, and we need to make sure that our teachers are equipped to be able to ensure whichever baby, however that baby comes into the classroom, that they have what they need to ensure that that child has access to the curriculum. Think in the video, and you'll probably hear throughout the day, thinking about reading as a civil rights issue and a social justice issue. And I say that because thinking about what we do to address implicit bias and addressing anti-racist mindsets in all of our schools is equally important. Why do I say that? All we have to do is look at the data in terms of who's not reading. And there are clear correlations by race, ethnicity, and who speaks English in the home and who may not. And when it's so pervasive across our state and across our nation, there's no way we're going to get to the technical skills or get what we want for our students without also addressing the mindset of all of us, right? And it's called implicit and unconscious bias because it's not about anyone doing anything intentionally, but what has been baked in our 20th century systems, which is all about sorting and tracking. And that's what we're trying to erode and trying to disrupt, is some of those 20th century ways of developing our systems, our master schedules, and really inventing a new way so that the new assumption is that, of course, every student can achieve. So I could go on and on and on. I know my remarks need to be short, but that's really what I wanted to kind of leave everybody with. The importance of, we must continue with the struggle of making sure that the science of reading is a part of every school district. We must integrate that with the importance of addressing implicit bias in our schools. We must make sure our teachers are trained, and we must ensure it's not just parent engagement, but parent partnership in the process, and making sure that parents have a seat at the table of being a part of their child's learning journey. So I look forward to hearing. I am gonna have to leave to actually go to some of my schools, but I'm looking forward to reviewing the video and hearing the conversation. Thank you for allowing me to be here this morning.